going to prove to you in the next 30 minutes that reading and writing is more exciting than Game Boy, computer games, movies, or TV shows put together. Does anybody believe me?
No.
Buckle in. I don't get it. You know, as a film director, I get all the fun. As a film producer, director, I get all the fun. Let's say we're doing a movie in the Swiss Alps, okay? So we have the camera crew and the stunt people and the actors, and we're all gathered around, and we're saying, okay, we're going to do this chase scene, and the snowmobiles are going to chase, we're going to do this, and some people say that, and we do that, and everybody's creating, and everybody's having a great time. If we do it right, and if it becomes a movie, and it comes into the States, what do?
Watch it.
You spend $12.50 sitting in a dark room. What? You are paying me all that money to watch me have fun. How messed up is that? Shouldn't it be the other way around? Shouldn't I be like dishing out the cash so that I can have fun? But we've convinced you that, oh no, you're not smart enough, you're not creative enough, oh no, we'll save that for the important people. That is such a rip-off. Now, I'm not complaining, but it just doesn't make sense. Now, at least as a reader, you get part of the fun. When you're watching a movie, really, what do? You just watch somebody else have fun. But as a reader, you join forces with me, and it's a co-op thing because it's your mind creating the words that I give you. So I'm thinking of something, you're thinking of something, and so we're cooperating, we're creating it together. The creative part of your brain is starting to work. Okay, we're not just feeding you stuff, but now you're participating. And then when you write, see, you don't even need authors. When you write, you're on full throttle creativity. When you're writing, I'll get on an airplane and start writing. And within just a few minutes, I'm so into the story that I'm surprised 3 hours later when the flight attendant says, you have to put up your computer now, sir. It's like, because I'm creating. I'm having all the fun. So as a film audience, all you get is popcorn and watching somebody show off. As a reader, at least you get to participate. As a writer, it's all yours, baby. You get to do it all. Okay? Now, in order to tell a story, you only need 3 things. I wish it was harder than that so that I could really earn the money that I get. But you only need to know 3 things. The first thing you need to do is you need to create an unforgettable character. This is a character that will stay with your audience, will stay with your reader well after the book or the movie's done. Name to me a character that you've run across that you'll never forget, an unforgettable character. This is yes.
Harry Potter.
Harry Potter. What about Harry Potter is unforgettable?
The storyline is alright.
Is he a little bit like you, or would you like to be a little bit like him? Yeah. Characters that are, you know what, grab a piece of paper and a tablet and write this down. Because we're going to do a writing exercise later too.
Make sure if you're doing it on your device, you're on time. Not getting distracted by social media.
And Aaron, the audio is good enough for you? Okay, so there's 3, basically 5 flavors that a character comes in. And the first character is one that you just mentioned. Characters that are kind of like us. Characters that we kind of like to be like. That's the first one. So write down characters that are like me. Can you name a female character, a woman character, in a book or movie or TV show or bubblegum wrapper of somebody that you kind of go, yeah, that's kind of like me? You got one?
I can't remember the name of it.
Okay.
But like Jennifer. No.
Okay. Let's go for a female one. What about Anne of Green Gables?
Yeah, that's what I was.
Was that the one you were thinking of?
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm sure. Yeah, I got it. Anne of Green Gables, okay? Give me another guy besides Harry Potter, somebody that is kind of like us.
Luke Skywalker.
Yes! Luke Skywalker, right? Luke Skywalker, kind of a normal guy who's got great dreams, but he's a normal dude. There was an actor by the name of Jimmy Stewart a long time ago that everybody loved him because he played characters that were like him. Tom Hanks, almost all of the characters he plays are just normal, everyday dudes, right? They get put in strange situations. So that's the first flavor. But there's 4 others. Name to me a character that is unforgettable, but is not like you. You got one? What?
Percy Jackson.
Yes, good. Give me another one. You had one?
Shrek.
Shrek.
Right.
Oh, Shrek, of course.
Yeah.
Shrek, good. What about Shrek? Or what's unforgettable about it? I mean, what is unforgettable about it?
Shrek.
Help him out.
Yes.
What about Shrek is unforgettable? What
It's got
else?
layers like onions.
He's got layers. He's also pretty weird, huh? He's pretty odd. When's the last time you've seen a Shrekian show up at your house? No, I don't want to hear about that. Seriously. So that's the second flavor. Characters that are odd. Characters that are odd, that are not like you, maybe not even human. But give me some other examples of characters that are odd that you've run across. Books, movies, comics.
4.
What?
4.
Good, 4. Yeah. That actually kicks you into the third category. And let's move on, just because we want to go quickly through this. So first we have characters that are like us. Secondly, we have characters that are odd. And then you just mentioned what type of character? A hero, right? Absolutely. Can you name, I know this is tough in our culture right now, but can you name any superheroes, any type of movies that like, yeah, they're everywhere, right? Characters that are heroic. Name to me some characters that are heroic, just so that we have a reference. Absolutely. Captain America. What else? Yeah. And now can you give me one of a humanoid who's not wearing tights? Give, just a person that's a hero but isn't necessarily a Marvel or Pardon me? Okay, good. Give me one more.
Rosa Parks.
Yeah, she's real,
She's a
but she's also a hero, isn't she? Yeah, absolutely. Okay, so we got characters that are odd, characters that are like us, characters that are heroic. There's 2 more flavors. Name to me a character that you've run across that's not odd, well maybe they're odd, but are not so odd, not so much like us, and not so much heroic, but still unforgettable.
Maleficent.
What?
Maleficent.
Okay, good. Give me another one. What?
Thanos.
Yeah, Thanos, good. Now, you were talking about Star Wars. What about that guy in the black with the asthma problem? What? Oh, Darth Vader, right? Right? Absolutely. Sometimes the story is only as good as the bad guy is bad. Okay? So that's the 4th, and there's a 5th one. And it's sort of a combination of all the others, and I'll tell it to you. That's characters that are funny. Okay? They may be funny because they're odd. They may be funny because they want to be, something. But their characters are funny. Name to me some characters that are funny that you've run across in storytelling.
Who's Barry?
Funny. I'll take anything.
Dwight Schrute.
Good. Good. What else? Other characters that are funny.
Adam Sandler.
Yep.
Anything he plays.
Yeah. Anything Jim Carrey plays, right? Absolutely. There are characters that are funny. Now, the cool thing is, you don't you don't do it. I'll spend a week working on a character. I want this character to be original. I want him to be, or her to be unforgettable. I'll spend a long time just walking the beach in my backyard thinking, what can we do? How can we mix those 5? Because you see, it's not, when you're making a cake, it's not all flour, right? You bring in the different ingredients. So how can I bring in those 5 ingredients and make a character that is unforgettable? Okay? So that's how you start to do it. But then the second thing you do is you dimensionalize these characters. A lot of my friends that are writing for TV have characters that are about, as deep as a piece of paper. Okay? Somebody said multi-layer, onion. You said onion, right? That's the cool thing, if you can start to develop the character. I ask myself, my characters, these questions when I'm creating them. Number 1 question, what are you afraid of? What are you afraid of, character? What makes you afraid? What makes Darth Vader afraid? But you ask yourself, what makes my character afraid? That's a great question. Another question I always ask my characters are, what do you do for a living? A lot of times we define people by what they do, right? So, what do you do for a living? A Supreme Court justice is not going to be exactly the same as a lumberjack in Washington State. Their personalities are going to be a little different. So what do you do for a living? Another question I ask myself is, what do you wear? Now don't tell me those clothes that are on your body just suddenly showed up on your body. You spent a little bit of time trying to decide what you're going to wear today. Because what you wear defines who you are. Right? I was teaching this class one time when my daughter was with me, and I looked out the window and I saw her, because she'd sat in the class a few times, I saw her outside in the parking lot talking to this kid all dressed in black. Okay, Dad's heart's beating a little faster. I make up an assignment for the class. I run out to the parking lot and go, hi there, hi, how are you? I'm her dad. He's a nice kid. But what he wore told me what he wanted to be seen as, who he was. Okay? What type of tattoos do they have? What are the tattoos? Okay? What do you wear? If I came into this class with a tuxedo and a top hat and a cane, hey, wouldn't that say something about my character? Yeah. And all I have to do is change one item of clothing. Top hat, cane, tuxedo, and high heel slippers. Wouldn't that say something else about me? Besides being a little eccentric. So ask yourself, what is my character afraid of? What does my character wear? What does my character do? How does my character talk? I've taught this class in the deep South where I can barely understand what they're saying. And I've taught this class back home in California where everybody speaks, dudes speak. So how does your character talk? So you start to dimensionalize these characters, and they start to become alive, right? Don't take the first idea that comes to your head, because the first idea that comes to your head has already been done. That's why it came so fast. I don't trust myself. When I get a brilliant idea about a character, I go, whoa, wait a minute, how did that happen so fast? And I'll start to dissect it and realize I'm just stealing from somebody else. So you get to be a little bit like God. You get to create a character. But make it interesting. Don't just have Bob, who just has a name. Spend some time with it. Okay? Or Bill. Okay. Once you've created an unforgettable character, and spend your time with it, have fun with it. Once you've done that, the second thing you need to do is you need to give that character a want. A want. And the bigger the want, the better the story. Don't have little Julie want to be a ballerina at the ballet school across the street. Oh no, will I make it? Here I am. Give her a big want. Have her want to be a ballerina at the Bolshoi Ballet in Russia, or the Venetian Ballet School on Venus. But the bigger the want, the better the story. The bigger the want. Now, sometimes when I'm teaching this even at a university level, the Christians are a little cautious. They're afraid to have their character want something too big. Don't fall for that. Go big. The bigger the want, the better the story. Okay? Let me give you an example. Let's create a superhero character that we all want to be like. Okay? Somebody, let's make them about, oh, I don't know, 6'2", 6'3". Let's give him gray hair, nice thick gray hair, orangish kind of shirt, blue polka dots, a name. I need a name. What? Dark blue slacks. I like it. What is it? Oh, yeah, Bill Myers. I like that. Oh, that's great. Good choice. Okay, so you go to the bookstore, you pull the back of the book, you read the back of the cut the book out of the shelf, and you read the back of the book. And the back of the book is, this is all about this cool character that we all want to be like by the name of Harry? Bill. And you can't wait to read this. It's 300 pages. And you know what his want is? Bill wants a drink of water. Oh, Mom, can I buy it? No, yes, no. You wear her down and do whatever you have to do to get your way. And now you're in the car because you can't wait to read this book. Because on page 1, bam, it grabs you. Because it says, Bill is thirsty. What's going to happen next? Page 10, page 15, page 20. Honey, come on down for dinner. Oh, Mom, please, now. Yes, I am. You woof down the meal. Now you're on page 150 because the suspense is really built up. Because Bill is looking around the room for a drink of water. Oh no, what will happen next? And you keep reading. Now you're like on page 200. Honey, are you in bed? Oh yes, Mom, sound asleep. But you got the flashlight and the covers. You know the routine. Because you can't set this book down. Because now you're at page 250. Bill spotted the water. What's going to happen next? Now we're coming up to the climax of the story. He's taken a step towards the water. Now you're on page 280, and he's taken 2 more steps towards the water. Oh, what will happen next? And now he's touching the water. Now you're coming up to the big climax, right? Page 298, 299, here it comes, and the end. Who would want to, thank you for the golf clap. Who would read that? Nobody. Well, maybe my mom, but she's dead, so that didn't work. It has to do with the want. If that want was any flatter, it would be in the house of pancakes. Give a big want to your character. Now let's take the same character that we all want to be like by the name of, what was that?
Bill Myers.
Bill Myers. Now you grab the book, and now it's slightly different, a slightly different one. You pull back the book, and here's his want. On this episode, Bill's daughter's just been kidnapped by drug lords and taken across the border into Mexico, where they're holding her captive, and they're only going to hold her 12 hours before they kill her. Is that a little bit more interesting?
Yes.
Bam, page 1. They run out, run into the library and say, Bill, I've got terrible news. Your daughter's just been kidnapped by drug lords, and you're the only one who can save her. Okay, page 2, page 5, Bill's running out of the parking lot, tries to find some way to get to the airport. He can't find a taxi, can't find a bus. Well, there is that pickup with the pigs in the back, so he jumps in the back of the pickup with the pigs, and now he goes to the airport, and he races to the counter, and you're on page, 50, saying, please, 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 I need a flight to go to Los Angeles. They say, we're sorry, we don't have any flights. Well, what do you got? We got one going to New York. I'll take it. I just got to get on an airplane. Now he's on an airplane going the wrong direction, and don't try this at home, kids, but he says, excuse me, I have a make-believe gun. I'd like to hijack your airplane. They go, well, yes, Mr. Myers, you got the gun, whatever you want. Now they turn around the airplane. Now you're on page 100 when he lands at LAX, and there's the FBI going, hi there, because they're a little nervous about the airplanes being stolen, right? And now they're chasing Bill through the airport. Now you're on page 200 as he gets out to the curb, and he can't find a taxi, can't find a bus. There is that car with the keys in it, don't do this either. And he steals the car. Now he's going down Interstate 5, and the LAPD are, woo, 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 woo. and the FBI are chasing him, and there's a border, bam, he breaks through the border. Now the Mexican police are after him, now the FBI are after him, now the LAPD are after him, and there's a shack, and his daughter's in the shack on top of the hill, and he crawls up the hill, and he looks through the window, and there's his daughter, and he smashes through the glass, and he crawls through the broken glass, and there's the guys with the guns that are guarding her, and the bam, bam, shoot, shoot, ouch, ouch, I hate it, part of the story, until he finally grabs his daughter, throws her over his shoulder, and escapes back to the United States, where he lives happily ever after. Well, except for the 20 years of serving in prison for stealing that plane. But what's more interesting? That, or there's no competition. It's the same cool character that we all want to be like by the name of Bill Myers. But it has to do with the want. The bigger the want, the better the story. Is that my pacemaker? No. The bigger the want, the better the story. Okay? So make it a big want. Now, the only other thing you need to know in storytelling, and I'm sorry it's so easy, but the only other thing you need to tell a good story is you need a wall. And the wall is a thing that your character has to climb over to get to his or her want. And the bigger the want, the better the story. All right? Don't have little Julie, the bigger the wall, the better the story. The bigger the wall, the better the story. Don't have just a little whoop, but make it a big conflict. Another word for wall is conflict. This is a thing that your character has to climb over to get to his or her want. All right? Now, conflict usually comes in about 3 flavors. The first is, and you probably got this way back in elementary school, the first is person fighting against a person. Person versus person, right? Name to me a story where a person is fighting against a person.
Star Wars.
Star Wars, yes. Luke versus, Darth Vader, why not? The two are going at it. Give me another one where a person is fighting another person. Yes, sir. Sure, absolutely, absolutely. Person versus a person. Now, David versus Goliath, right, in the Bible. Would you remember the story of David versus Goliath if Goliath was like, I don't know, 6 inches tall? And then David went forth and looked for Goliath and went, really? The story. Giant all over my foot. Right? You remember him because he's big. The bigger the wall, the better the story. Right? So that's the first flavor. The second flavor that come in is person versus nature. Yeah. Person versus nature. Name to me a story where a person is fighting against nature.
Hatchet.
Hatchet, absolutely. How about another one?
The Martian?
Yep. Absolutely, good. What about all those movies like Twister and Earthquake? I mean, good guess what those are about, right? Person fighting. The Perfect Storm. You remember that big storm that comes in and everybody's all whatever. Would you remember that story if it was called The Perfect Overcast Day? Oh no, is it going to rain? I don't know. Oh, I better get my umbrella. Who cares? Right? The bigger the obstacle, the better the story. Okay? Jaws. Right? Would you remember Jaws if it was called Goldfish? Right? It's like dun 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 to the toilet. Dun dun. Bye. You don't remember that because the bigger the wall, the better the story. Then the third flavor, the conflict comes in, and this is my favorite. It's person versus themselves. I love that because we all have a civil war going inside our hearts. I don't care how perfect you are, there's a little part of you that's going, "Psst, over here, what would happen if you did this?" So there's this civil war going on in your hearts. Can you think of any story where a person is fighting against their self? Luke.
The dark side.
Give in to the dark side. Right? Luke, absolutely, give in to the dark side. What about, have any of you read Lord of the Rings or seen the movie Lord of the Rings? Remember Smeagol? I like Master. I like Master. He's oh man, I'm going to kill. Oh, Master's not. This guy's schizophrenic. He's got this war going on inside his head. He's fascinating to watch. When he's on the screen, you're not watching the other guys. Come on, you're watching Smeagol because of this war that's going on inside. But even the lead characters are struggling with the ring and the power of the rings. Okay, so you've got three types of conflict. Now the cool thing is you can mix all three conflicts at the same time. Star Wars is a perfect example since we're beating that horse to death. Star Wars is you have fascinating characters, right? But you have person versus person, Luke versus Darth. You've got person versus nature, Luke versus space worm, Luke versus outer space, Luke versus Ewoks, Luke versus tree, whatever, right? Plus you've got Luke struggling with himself, giving into the dark side or not. So you've got all that stuff going on. This is no accident that that series or that series of movies is so popular. Somebody did a little homework and figured this sort of stuff out. All right? So all the story is your character starting, oh, Mr. Myers, we've got terrible news. Your daughter's just been kidnapped by drug lords. And as your character having to climb up the wall, facing one problem after another, this is no plane going to LAX, so he steals a plane, and now he's in LAX being chased by everybody, and now he's breaking through the border. And then you come to this thing, and it's in nearly every story, and it's called the dark moment. And the dark moment is when it's so impossible for your character that you're going, oh, I don't know how he'll ever do it. This is where your character is no longer having to climb the wall this way. This is where your character is having to climb the wall upside down. This is the bang, bang, shoot, shoot, ouch, ouch, I hate it when it happens part of the story. Until he finally, in the climax, rescues his daughter and escapes back in the United States where he was happily ever after. Except for the 20 years of serving in prison for stealing the plane, right? That's all there is to storytelling. And I'm sorry it's so easy. And I'm sorry they pay me off. No, that one I'm okay with. But that's all there is to it. All right? Now, the other thing that makes me a little crazy is when people go, oh, well, Mr. Myers, you're so creative and you're so smart and all this nonsense. It's like, I don't know where you get your ideas. I could just never come up with those ideas. Wrong again. I'm going to show you something I learned from a friend that creates rides for Disney World and Disneyland. It's called, write this down, it's called plot webbing. Plot webbing. How much time do we have?
About 10 minutes.
Sweet, good. Okay, this is what they do. They bring about 10 or 15 people, creative people, into a room about this size, and they got a table with food that they can eat and throw, and toys that they can smash on each other and break up. We do that sometimes in the writing rooms with TV shows too, just to get people loosened up. And finally the guy comes up to a whiteboard, kind of like this, maybe a little bit bigger. He says, okay, today we have to create a ride, a great ride. So the guy comes up to the board, he says, today it has to be a river ride, so he writes like a river in the middle of the board. And then, back that. I'm not going to tell you what they do. Let you and I do it. Let you and I create the coolest river ride ever done. These are the rules. Are you ready for the rules? There are no rules. It doesn't matter how expensive it is. It doesn't matter how dangerous it is. It doesn't matter how many people get killed. Okay? For starting out. So, there is one rule, and that one rule is it must never have been done before. Never been done before, okay? So give me just one thing, don't give me the whole ride. Just one element and a ride that would be way cool where you're not worried about cost or fatalities or lawsuits. That would really be cool. Anything goes. Yes, sir?
Big drop.
A big drop? We've seen big drops before, so what's going to be different about this?
There's that track.
Is what?
While it's going down.
There's no track.
Spin while you go.
Okay, so you get caught in a whirlpool. Is that what you're saying?
No original. That's so
Oh, come on. Okay, you want an original? Here's original.
Very.
It's a big whirlpool. Okay, let's go. Give me something else. Never been done before. Yes, sir.
How about a loop? But a loop. No track.
No track. Now we're cooking. Okay, so it's a loop, no track. So you take off, so it goes, and then, wait a minute. What? Okay, that'll work. Good. What do you got? Yes, ma'am. Come on. Your hand keeps going up and down.
Me?
Yeah. Oh, you're just slapping her? Okay. What do you got?
It just launches them.
Launches you what?
And it stops and it goes, yeah,
How far does it launch you? Big, think big.
100 yards, 100 football fields.
Help him think big.
100 football. How much money you have for that?
100 football fields.
No.
That's like
1,000 football fields.
10,000. 10,000.
100,000.
How about, who said outer space? How about the moon? Are you cool with that? All right. All right, the moon. All right, one more.
Pluto.
I know. You have to take these other things out of your mind now. Don't think whirlpool, don't think no track, don't think moon. One other thing that's never been done for, but don't connect it to those other three. Yes, sir.
Gators in the water.
What's in the water?
Gators.
It's a river.
All right. Oh, by the way, are they real or make-believe?
Real.
Yes. Okay. All right. Now, this is where it starts to get cool. Now, you have to build off of each of these. Take these other things out of your mind, and you just go this direction. Big whirlpool. What could happen? Big whirlpool.
Tsunami.
No, you're underwater. Like there's water. You're underwater.
So you drown. You drown. Okay. But does it have to end there? No, you could go to heaven, or thanks for playing, but you lose place, right? You know, keep your hands and stop fingering the feathers on that angel, young man. Yeah. Okay? Let's go another direction. Crocodiles. Give me a couple different things that could happen if you're in a river, right, with real live crocodiles.
Missing limbs.
Missing what?
Missing limbs. I want to meet Pops.
Oh, I don't understand. How's that?
Crocodiles bite off.
Oh, okay, so they jump in the boat and they fight.
You drowned.
Okay, so they bite you. Now we're
They have jetpacks. They have jetpacks. So they can fly high.
See? Now you're cooking. Okay, so they have jetpacks.
Then we get an ice.
All right, good. And don't pet those alligators. Okay, moon, what would happen? You go to the moon and
Go to heaven.
We go to Jupiter.
No,
No.
you die. So
You
heaven's-
die.
try something different. You're on the right track, but try something different. Yes, sir.
How about you come back down and go in a volcano?
No, that's not fun.
Why not?
I want heaven.
So you come back down and you wind up in a volcano.
Well, you go to heaven again.
Crash
Don't
into
worry
it.
about the house. That's so old school. We're just doing it. One more. Give me one more. Moon and
Crash into it. You just go straight
I
into it.
thought we were in the volcano.
straight crash in. That's different. Now we're going another direction. This is another possibility.
Straight through it.
Dude, you see what I'm saying? They're not connected. They're different.
Oh, yeah.
Okay, so you crash into the moon.
Yeah, straight into
You
it.
destroy it.
Okay.
Yeah.
But you see what we're doing? And what they do is they fill up the whole board with all these whacked, crazy ideas. They take a photograph of it and they do it again. And you see the energy that's starting to happen in this room, you see how you're starting to have fun? They do that all day long. Then the next day, no offense, not every idea here is genius. But what they do is, they'd come back the next day and choose the best. So, okay, we have to do a river ride. I like the idea of the crocodiles, we'll use the crocodiles. And I like the fact that they're on jetpacks. And what if you wind up riding on the back of them, and then you go to the moon? Now it's you and your pet crocodile going to the moon, and then you start to fall, and you fall into a volcano, and then you die, and, or you get bitten or eaten, and then it turns into an educational ride. The digestive system of a crocodile, right? Now every teacher in the world is going to want to take up a field trip there. But you see what you've done? In 5 minutes, you guys have created. I'd go on I'd send my little sister on this ride. Look at that. Okay, now this is exactly how I get my ideas when I'm writing a story. Okay, I'm going to give you the middle. I want you to break up into teams. You three are a team. 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 And you two are a team. Got it? Okay. Here we go. Listen up. I'm going to give you the beginning of a story. I'm not going to give you a river ride. Now you're going to do a story. But you have to do it with what I give you at the beginning. And the beginning is this. Then, you with me, guys?
Yes.
Then the beam hit the museum's dinosaur bones, and they came to life. And think of 4 separate things that could happen. Work them out with your partner. I'll give you 2 minutes. Come up with really cool ones, and I'll be back with you then. Do it. Anything goes. Don't. Anytime that little voice says, "This is stupid," tell it to shut up and just do it.
Toby comes back, Oscar comes back to life, Jesus comes back to life, and who else I see? No.
Boring is illegal.
What?
Boring is illegal. No boring allowed.
Coke, for sure. Pop Smoke. Juice Will.
Do the form, put it on a piece of paper because we're going to refer to it in a minute.
No, my computer died.
Yeah, dude.
Hold on, wait.
Okay, let's sum up. We ran out of time. If we had more time, you would circle the best of your 4 and split off that, and then split off that.